moving on. We have a video by Dr. K, that dude, Indian guy, lovely fellow. No, he's an interesting fellow, but this is one where I think I actually might have some disagreements with what he's saying, just a little bit, just a little bit. All right, Alfrogone. Yeah, that's who that is, by the way. There's an Argentinian guy who does cooking stuff. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. He's like the uncle everyone should have. Anyways, yeah, is therapy just gaslighting? Yes. Never trust a therapist. That's what it says. What the Harry? Where in the Harry did that go? Because that's working, right? So just when I closed it, yeah. Here we go. Here we go.
With our free resource packs, which are also
Might be a problem with my headphones. I want it to be super low for you guys, though.
linked below. So definitely check them out. So we have to start by understanding
Okay.
what a
Yep.
normal
We're watching his video. We're gonna watch his stupid ad.
applying some of the principles that we discuss to your life to actually. It
Suck it
turns
up,
out that
Buttercup.
therapy is not gaslighting yourself. In fact, it is the exact opposite. Because all of the negative, not all, but many of the negative beliefs that you have about yourself are actually.
I don't want spoilers. I'm assuming when he changes his. There we go. That's the start.
Some of the principles that we discuss to your life to actually create change, check out Dr. K's Guide to Mental Health. The guide synthesized my years of training as a monk, along with years of clinical experience.
I didn't. Well, I suppose I could have guessed from some of his ideas. You could kind of assume that he was into some of that stuff.
As a
Not that it's necessarily all bad. You know, pagan. Nothing. I gotta step to it.
psychiatrist to cover common topics like meditation, ADHD, and trauma. The
Meditation, for the record, is very much a recognized thing, though.
guides include over 100.
Like I said, there might be some good stuff involved. I don't like the. For myself as a Christian, I don't like the whole idea of chakras and spiritual planes.
Additional videos that can be navigated based on your needs or interests, or in a more open, choose your own adventure format. The guides are now available in the YouTube store below, and if they're a little bit outside of your price point, you can check out a piece of them with our free resource packs, which are also linked below. So definitely check them out. So we have to start by understanding what a normal human being is, right? This may not be you. Sorry. Such a dick thing to say. Really, though, I say this as someone who's not a normal human being. I sucked at life. You know, I was a virgin for a really long time. Whatever. Okay, so I'm one of y'all. Okay, so I say this with love.
Normal.
So let's start by understanding like what a normal human being is. So if we take a
Normal.
child has confidence. A child believes in themselves. Confidence and belief in yourself is actually the natural human state, right? So if we really look at it,
that point could be argued. For the record, I don't think like an antithetical childhood is the course either, but like an absolute disbelief in your own self. But I do think a degree of humility is required. We can predict the way things will unfold, and there's an element of control that comes along with that. There's an element of confidence that should come along with that. I think our ability to predict things and control things, or symbiosis, I guess, would maybe result from that ability to analyze the world around us. It should bring confidence to some extent. But again, a healthy degree of humility prepares you to be surprised by life, prepares you, for stuff like that, which I think it seems like life will always surprise you. right? There's always a little bit of stuff that's beyond our ability to calculate that's going to throw a monkey wrench into your calculation sometimes, and to be willing to take that into account and then just move on, like innovation, not innovation. What's the word? Improvisation, right? As Asimov, planning alone is not enough. To succeed, one must learn to improvise.
When does a child lose faith in themselves? And this is where we tend to think that, okay, so I lose faith in
Probably when life starts kicking you on your coccyx.
myself because I'm a failure. That is incorrect. It is objectively incorrect. I'll give you all a very simple example. So a child needs to learn how to walk, right? And so they get up and they try to walk and they fall. And then they try again and they fall. And they try again and they fall. And they fall and they fall and they fall and they fall and they fall. Despite the fact that a child fails over and over and over and over again, they don't feel like a
Troubleshooting, for the record, one of the best ways to figure stuff out. You know, obviously there is situations where you don't want to run in all half half baked, half whatever. Like there's situations where the consequences in lieu maybe require that you actually get some advice from other people, that you make use of all the resources to go in with as much information as you can. But I think quite often just jumping in with both feet and um, learning while you learning from experience can be a very good thing. Put it that way.
failure. A child
Figuring it out while you're going along. That is.
like a failure is something that they are taught. So now if we really tunnel down into it, the people who believe that they're fundamentally broken, this is not something that they do because they fail. It is something that they were taught, which causes them to fail. So you have a parent, for example, where nothing you ever do is good enough. So I sometimes
See, this is the thing where I was actually a little bit disagreeing with him to some extent. We'll watch a little bit more.
have, do therapy with Asian kids. And therapy with Asian kids is brutal because
Racist. No.
no amount of accomplishment is ever enough.
Here's a question: are Indians Asian? I was watching one of David Wood and AP's things the other day, and they were talking about this, like where it was saying Asian men responsible for grooming gangs in UK and stuff. And it's like, okay, so normally if you think of Asian people, you don't think of Russians, which are technically in Asia. You don't think of Indians. You don't think of Pakistani. You think of stereotypical Oriental looking people, right? You think of Koreans. You think of Japanese. You think of Chinese. Maybe Cambodians to some extent, but people who look kind of squinty eyed. Sorry. Yeah, but like people who look like that.
Right? They're like, oh, like you got an A on the test, you should get. Why didn't you get A
That's a good accent.
plus? You got 98. Why didn't you get 100? One of the most devastating things I've ever heard from a patient is one patient once told me, when I get an 89 on a test, why is it that no one looks at the 89 questions I got right and instead focuses on the 11 questions I got wrong? Why is the world like this? So the negative beliefs that we have about ourselves are actually things
See,
that are taught. This is the gaslighting, right? So if you
this is where I kind of disagree. I don't think it's wrong for parents to have expectations of their kids, and these expectations, both that people have of us and that we have of ourselves, these expectations to be better, to make improvement, is not necessarily a bad thing. Now, I think it can be taken like way too far. Like you can't wait to love someone until they're perfect, right? You can't say, okay, once you reach this point, then I'll love you, then I'll care about you as a person. But say, yes, I care about you right now, but I know you can be better than this. I know you can do better than this. I don't think that's bad. I think it can have a very positive effect. It can prevent the type of self-satisfied stagnation that can tend to arise from just a contentedness with where one is. Not that contentedness is always wrong either. There's something to be said for like maintaining a healthy equilibrium as a goal in life.
Grew up in a household where, things were abusive or your parents were neglectful or your parents don't know how to be happy, so they want to live through you, they're not happy in their own lives. So they put all of their
That could very easily happen too. Of course, it type of vicarious type of thing like that, and I don't think is that I don't think is healthy. But I think this can be done in a healthy way, where like parents they do want their children to be better, and they push their children to be better. All right, well, yeah, we'll see. We can maybe watch.
pressure onto you. I am unhappy. Therefore, if you screw up, then everything comes out, right? So this is crazy, but I was talking to someone recently who was telling me that, the biggest challenge I have is my parents don't know how to be happy, and it becomes my responsibility. Now, whether I get married on time, whether I get the right profession, whether I have kids, all of these things, my parents' happiness.
That feels a little bit twisted as well. Like that notion of it, like that's yeah.
Happiness is dependent on me. This kind of stuff leads to gaslighting. This is the real gaslighting. The real gaslighting is your parents telling you that the only way for me to be happy is for you to achieve. The real gaslighting is, oh, you made a mistake. How could you be so stupid? Of course you made a mistake. You're learning.
I used to rebuild my week from scratch every single Sunday, just for it to fall apart by Tuesday. You're not bad at
And when people
Uh, yeah, let me try and give a parent's perspective of this. For the record, I'm not a parent, but I think like to kind of play the devil devil's advocate here. Like I think a parent could come at this very much from the perspective of, hey, I love you, I care about you, but I want you to be better, and I know you're capable of it. I know you can do better, and I think that it's a thing that shouldn't be discouraged necessarily. The idea of having expectations of people and wanting them to be better. Not saying you can't be in relationship with them, not saying you can't love them or care about them, but that you push them to be better, right? Iron sharpening iron, stuff like that. I don't think that's a bad thing. Anyways, we'll say that's good enough for now. If you want to check it out, Healthy Gamers, is therapy just gaslighting?